Okay, welcome back to another episode of Political Animals, where we bring you an analytical, sometimes cynical, and very few times hopeful look at geopolitical engagements around the world. I'm Mustafa Janadu in Washington, D.C., the cynical one, and Kunle is in Lagos, who I don't know if he's still hopeful the way the world looks. But anyway, let's jump into it. So we're going to start by the first question as to whether Trump will weigh in and jump on this war. My guess is that at this rate, I think he will. Let me tell you why. As far back as 2009, the U.S. has scripted this exactly this way to lure Iran into engagement with Israel and then to use it as a justification for regime change. So all of this now we see on the news, Iran is bombing Israel with missiles. They overwhelm Israel's nuclear dome. This is going to give Trump and America an excuse to bring in their Navy, their ships, their big ships with their airplanes and their bombs to start bombing and destabilize Iran. So my guess is he will. He says he needs 2 weeks to figure out whether he's going to do it, which means that either he's going to do a surprise attack or they're using 2 weeks to build up to bring in most likely their B-52 bomber. So America's going to use something very close to a nuclear weapon on Iran, which weighs 30,000 pounds. Can you imagine a bomb that weighs 30,000 pounds? What type of airplane would you need to do that? And they're going to say they're going to bomb it on one site to get rid of the nuclear capability. No one believes that this is the reason they're striking or that Iran has nuclear capability. What they want to do is destabilize Iran and then hope that Mujahideen and all these other Iranian groups, which are running away because they're terrorist groups and they're fractions which are trying to overthrow governments in like Iraq and Iran, a chance to take over Iran the way that some of the groups took over Iraq after Iraq was destabilized, or the way that the government was destabilized in Syria. So I think that's what he's trying to do. Whether it can succeed or not, I'm not sure. What do you think?
Well, first off, I think the reason why he said 2 weeks was because he had a chat with Steve Bannon, who is from MAGA, who is a MAGA person. And MAGA is the only resistance to any armed conflict with Iran. Interestingly enough, the Democrats don't mind it. If we had the Democrats in power, they would have already stopped Iran.
You're cutting a little bit, so try to stand closer to the speaker.
Yeah, sorry.
A little bit closer to the speaker.
If the Democrats...
So you're saying that, you're saying MAGA...
Yeah, so I'm saying that MAGA, if the only people that are opposed is MAGA, but MAGA represents half of Trump's support base, or more than half of Trump's support base. They're the reason why the Republicans had to take him in. And they are isolationists and passionately against any war in Iran. I think, and the reason why Trump said 2 weeks, I believe, was because he had this chat with Steve Bannon yesterday. What I think is likely to be the next step is I fear that somehow the Republicans and Israel are going to try to manufacture a false flag incident, either most likely against the American population somewhere on the American mainland. There's going to be some kind of false flag terror attack like 9/11 and all these other things. And I think that they're going to try to get something like that as a pretext to go into Iran. Iran, ironically, has more Jews than has the largest population of Jews in the world outside of Israel. It has the largest Jewish population in the world. They have female pilots. They have female lecturers. The claims that they are this kind of
secular nation, basically. Not really secular, but close to secular. Yeah.
Yes, and every country has opponents to their government. In America, you have Democrats and Republicans.
And also anti-abortion. You have the abortion movement, which is a civil rights movement in America, where women want the right. Whether you agree with abortion or not, it's a big deal in America, and women want the right for it. So same thing as in Iran, where the woman with the hijab, they complain about that. It's no different. In America, women don't have reproductive rights, so it's the same thing. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yes,
but it's not something that you should use to vilify a country. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, and men and women and they have elections in Iran, and I'll have you know that men and women have an equal right to vote in Iran. So some of these oppressive claims are unfounded. The West just tries to assume that the global South is inferior racially. They are not worthy of anything, And, if you were born in 1980, your first view of the world was Operation Desert Storm. And then you saw Shock and Awe. And then you saw, that war crime where they killed 2,000 Iraqi soldiers as they were trying to run away. Everything.
And then you had Fallujah.
And then you have Fallujah. Now, these so-called bunker busting bombs that have been tested, they say that they have the penetrative ability of up to 60 to 80 meters penetration. But we understand that the Iraqi nuclear facilities are dug deep, half a kilometer deep.
Oh, yeah.
So they would have to hit it multiple times. And I don't even know if it's too deep, whether it will just bounce off, because, it's not like if something is too thick, it's not like you can chip away at it. No. If it's too strong, it will just bounce off. It won't
that's my fear. What if they just want to use those bunker bombs to just destroy neighborhoods and stuff and kill people? Do you see what I'm saying?
They even succeed. Assuming this act of aggression by Israel even succeeds, if they hit those nuclear facilities with enriched uranium and all of that, and they do actually hit it, then you have a nuclear fallout. In any way you look at it, Israel is more likely to cause a nuclear disaster in the Middle East.
And then Pakistan will jump in after that, because that nuclear fallout is going to affect Pakistan more than any country.
Pakistan has nuclear weapons. Israel, I see, will either fire a nuclear weapon in frustration when it's getting its ass handed to it, or it's going to bomb nuclear facility and release radiation that's going to...
Okay, but here's my worry. What if their goal is not really to destroy those nuclear bombs? It's just to drop those B-52s and kill human beings? They can accomplish that. So what if they don't really care about going that deep into the ground? They just want to kill a lot of Iranians and put the country in disarray. They can achieve that by dropping those bombs. What if they drop those bombs on civilian sites?
Well, ultimately, what Israel wants is, in order to control Iran's oil and the Hormuz Strait, they want to... but you know what I'm saying? What
if the U.S. coming in is the pretext is to nuclear disarm, but the real thing is to destroy the overall infrastructure of Iran? That's what I'm saying. That plays to Israel's goals too, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yes, it does, because then they can call companies in like Halliburton, like what they did in Iraq.
What if that's their goal? What if that's their goal? Yeah.
That's part of their goal. It could be. I know ultimately their goal is to turn Iran into a servile state, so that they can control the oil and also the routes. And also because they don't like the fact, they say, Iran is this. All the things they say about Iran is Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Jordan, UAE, all of them are worse than Iran when it comes to those things. Iran is a country of 100 million people. And it's a relatively stable country. And the standard of living in Iran is better than the standard of living in Nigeria. And people fly in and out of Iran. So nobody is trapped there. They can fly in and out of Iran. It's not like North Korea. They're not isolated. And yes, there's dissidents and there's opponents, and the opponents of every single government in the world. But they've called them a regime. They're now saying they want Iran to come to the negotiating table. You attack a sovereign state, you kill their negotiators, and then you play victim when they defend themselves and tell them they need to come to the negotiating table, asking them why they haven't complied with the Non-Proliferation Treaty agreements, which they were explaining that they've enriched the uranium, but it's still for civilian use. And the IAEA, what it was, they also said that they are not making a nuclear bomb at the time. And in spite of this, and all this, and as the negotiations were going on and the Iranians were coming to explain themselves, Israel goes and attacks. And it's clear that the propaganda is backfiring, because the Western media is trying to say, oh, poor Israel. Israel is bombing nuclear facilities and Iran is bombing civilian areas. Although throughout the entire time Iran has done all this damage, they've only killed 24 people. Israel has killed hundreds of Iranians, and they kill about 20 or 30 people every day with gunfire and another 30 with strikes. So they're killing about double the number of people every day that Iran killed since the hostilities began last week.
So let's move on. Let's change the direction a little bit from where you said. Iran wins this war if after all of this rubbish, there's no regime change, even if they lose more people than Israel or America. And so the big question is whether they can get a regime change. To be honest with you, I don't know. I think it's going to be. I don't think they can do it. And here's why: Iran is a sovereign state. The people of Iran are rallied, and we've seen in history. No matter even if you kill 2 million Iranians or you kill 2 million Vietnamese, their anger and their anti-imperialism will let them go through anything. Now the big question. But here are the dangers, though. The Mossad has penetrated Iran. That's why they're able to. Within Iran, they even have factories where they're building drones and they're killing Iranian troops, Iranian leaders. So that means they've penetrated, which means they have the power to go in there and disseminate and then maybe try to cause an uprise. I still think they won't be able to do it, but it's very dangerous. That's more dangerous than dropping a B-52 bomber. Could you imagine if America was infiltrated by Russians and Chinese and they had access to our military and they had access to our generals, and the generals start getting killed at home? Do you get my point? This is a serious issue. So Iran's biggest issue is not their air defense, lack of capability of air defense. It's their is that their Secret Service has been compromised, and they can't defend against Mossad. Mossad are very smart. They probably have people who can speak Iranian and look Iranian. That's very dangerous. And then also the idea of the Mujahideen and all these other guys who are in Germany and other parts of the world, because they've been pushed out of Iran. Now, if they destabilize Iran, the U.S. and Europe might start to bring those people back in, and then you'll see what happened in Libya or Iraq, in which there's a civil war. Hopefully that doesn't happen. What do you think the likelihood of that happening is?
Well, let me come to the first part about the opposition. A lot of the people who are generally opposed to the government in Iran have actually rallied behind Iran. Because, I mean, even if you oppose the government, even if I oppose Tinubu's government and America says, okay, I'm coming to save you from Tinubu, let me bomb Third Mainland Bridge, I'll be like,
I'd rather die. Let me tell you, if you bomb Lagos, you're gonna kill all of us because we're not going to surrender to you. Go ahead. Yeah.
So and then when it comes to how Mossad has infiltrated, I'm not sure how much of it is actually personnel and how much of it is technology. Because it's very difficult to know these things. I mean, there is like I said earlier, there is a massive Jewish population in Iran, but they're not being blamed or programmed or attacked or threatened or nothing's happening to them. So I don't think that it's coming from them either. Yeah. So the question is
very quickly. They tried this last year with Biden. They tried to destabilize Iran through a Me Too movement and Hajib movement, the females and stuff. It didn't work. Remember when the Revolutionary Guard?
Yes.
It didn't work. So they tried that. So you're right. Any last thoughts on that before we go to the last point?
Yeah. So the question is how much is true about what they're saying about how effective they've been? Iran is saying that they've not been. Yeah, Iran is saying they've not been hit as hard as they claim they have, and that they have a massive land expanse, and they have thousands upon thousands of different missile silos all over the country that they've been spreading and preparing for 20 years, and they're ready for a long sit down. They're ready for a long walk.
So China has already said they'll step up and help a little bit. Like Russia said they can help. But here's another thing. So Russia, when they signed with Iran and Brooks, leading up to this thing, Russia told Iran, let's sign on so that we can even give you, since you're a member of BRICS, we can give you military support directly. And then Iran said we don't need it. So Russia says,
Iran sells weapons to Russia.
Yeah, but here's the thing. If they go to war with U.S. and Israel, they're going to need Russia's help.
No doubt. But I'm just telling you how well armed Iran are, that they sell weapons. They don't buy weapons. They sell weapons.
Yes, they do. No, they sell the weapons, but they don't have the raw materials. So what they do is other countries, Korea and Russia, give them the raw materials. Then they manufacture it and sell it. So they do the manufacturing, but they don't produce it from the raw materials. So they still need.
I mean, even Britain are like that. Even Britain don't have the raw materials. But the
problem is that from Russia, what they would need is air support. Because Iran doesn't have, they would need planes and things like that. But that's not going to happen. Russia's not going to go to direct war with Israel, because it's just too provocative a move for Russia. But the point I'm making
I don't think Iran needs air support. The reason I say that is because the landmass of Israel is so small. If they have enough missiles to wipe them out, what they need is surface air missiles.
they're going to need it to defend themselves, because now that Syria is gone, the U.S. and the U.S. and Israel can just fly from that direction, and Iran is not going to be able to stop those airplanes from coming in.
Yeah, the only way they can defend themselves, from my understanding, against enemy aircraft is surface-to-air missiles. I don't think that Russia.
Let me tell you, they may have very good, and if the U.S. comes in here, you can best believe more than 300 or 400 U.S. troops will die, and then Trump will have to answer. So now we can pivot. Then Trump's going to have to answer to his base here. Why are Americans being shot out of the sky? Why are we in Iran? And I still have the feeling that Russia and China are giving full support, and they're fighting a proxy war through Iran against the U.S., but they've covered it up so that it's not direct. So now we'll end with the last thing. Like you said, Trump is weighing this out. He should weigh carefully, weigh very carefully, because who is it that you said? Steve Bannon met him, right? Also, you know who else has talked to him is J.D. Vance backed Tulsi Gabbard. He said that Tulsi Gabbard is a patriot, and she's correct. He didn't say that he's against bombing Iran, but he defended her from Trump's attacks. And we all know that J.D. Vance is not a war hawk. And also, J.D. Vance is a former Marine. I think he was a Marine, right? He was in the military. Yes. Most of those guys that were in the military now, they're against this, because J.D. Vance in his books, he wrote about all of the pain and suffering he saw because of America's deployments abroad. True soldiers don't want to go to war with Iran. True soldiers, true people, not because they're scared, but because soldiers know that war is holy. And it's holy. What they mean by holy is that you don't just fight for no reason, because it costs a lot. Most people who have been soldiers have PTSD.
Yeah, so they're very sensitive. Cruz.
Yeah. So the MAGA movement. So what Trump will happen is that he will be disowned from the MAGA movement. So now I'm going to bring my hat back. People say don't wear this hat.
We need to wear the hat.
Now, I want
thank God for MAGA. For the first time, I'm saying thank the Lord for MAGA.
Yeah, I'm wearing the hat.
Without MAGA,
people said don't wear.
Yes, without MAGA, they would have already struck at Iran. MAGA is fighting for peace. For the first time, I am in full support of America first. Not Israel first, America first. And I love the way Tucker Carlson took down Ted Cruz. And it was so public. I mean, it's all over.
He took him down like a cruise missile. He took Cruz down like a cruise missile.
He took him to school and back. He made such a fool of him. And I think all the public, even on BBC and Sky, which is basically Jewish network, I look at BBC and Sky to understand what the Israelis are thinking. And I look at all the other networks to find out somewhere in the middle of the truth. So when I looked at them, even they are saying that America is split in the middle between MAGA and the Republicans, the hawks and the isolationists. And I think that's what is intriguing everybody right now. Will Trump stick by his base, or will he deny his base?
So, and let me state this clear. The only anti-war movement in America now is MAGA. The Democrats are not anti-war. They're in it. They're in it even more. They're in it even more than Trump. They want this. Yes. Trump is playing to their book now. So I want everybody in the world to say, you call the MAGA movement racist. Maybe it is. Whatever it is.
It's racist, but don't want war.
Voice. And here's the type of racism it is. Those boys in the South. Oh yeah, let the black people live where they live. Let us live where we live. We don't want to deal with it. We don't want our girls sleeping with their people. But we don't want no war. You get my point. They don't want war.
That's the important thing. They don't want war. War kills everyone. They want to
focus on domestic issues. Now, where I disagree with MAGA is they don't have the right economic model for America. But I tell you what, the wrong economic model for America is to enter a full-scale invasion of Iran. Is going to debilitate our economy. We are already overstretched, and we don't even have the resources to support Israel anymore because we're overstretched. Last thing, Israel's Iron Dome is a joke. So that means that all these billions that we've been spending for the Iron Dome, it was all 419. For you guys who don't know what 419 means, that means it was just money laundering. That money didn't go to defend Israel. It went into some people's pockets. Israel is getting... and here's the thing. If I were Israel, Israel's a straight up bitch. Let me tell you why. Israel's that little bitch that's getting beaten up. They have to call his friends to come help him beat up somebody 1-to-1. Iran is fucking Israel up. And if America comes and they win, it's still, for example, if I'm in a fight with you and you're beating me up and I call 4 people to beat you up, even afterwards, I'll still go and commit suicide because I know I'm not a real man. Because I couldn't beat you face to head to head, 1-on-1. Last thoughts on that, Kunle.
Yeah, and strategically, Iran are also fighting a very clever one. They're not just throwing missiles randomly. The first
no, precision.
Yeah, and the first strikes, they were throwing hundreds and hundreds of missiles, the ones that they made in the 70s. And those are the ones that they were using $10 million defense systems to shoot down. Then when they all ran out, Iran are now not shooting more than 30 missiles a day. But the damage that those 30 missiles are doing is a hell of a lot more than the hundreds of missiles they're shooting at the beginning. But because they're shooting 30 missiles, the West is saying, oh, Iran is running out of weapons. No, they're not. They've broken the system, and now they're using their best weapons to
strike. Yeah. And here's another thing. I think Iran actually doesn't want help from Russia because they want to prove to the world they are a sovereign state. And I will say this: no matter what you say, Iran actually has the best technology when it comes to missile technology. When it comes to,
I won't argue with that.
They have the best. They have the best, and drones. Because people don't realize what Iran is. Iran, I'm going to give you it's a broad historical leap. This goes back to Mesopotamia. They have a history of science and mathematics and everything.
4,000 years old country.
They have very good chess players along with India. So Iran, India, and Russia in general tend to have the best scientists when it comes to things like nuclear and when it comes to things like missiles. So what we're saying is that the most intelligent nuclear physicists and the most intelligent arms designers in the world are from Iran.
Yeah,
so they're sophisticated and also they're logistical. So what they're doing is they're selectively striking.
That's how you play chess. The only aircraft I think can match the Western aircraft are the Chinese combat jets. And unless the Chinese supply them with lots of combat jets, I don't think Iran is bothered with that. I think what they're going to use to fight is surface-to-air missiles. I think that's their own idea of taking out Israeli jets with surface-to-air missiles instead of interceptor jets. And then when they go on the offense, they go on the offense with their missiles. So they're not really want to use jets because I don't even think the Russian jets only China.
It costs too much money to do that. You have to fuel the jets and everything. So if you have very good surface-to-air missiles, you don't need to use airplanes. Airplanes are used for just bombing people. Iran is not trying to bomb people and kill civilians and do that. So they don't need
missiles and targeted strikes.
So now Iran may be ushering the new era of warfare, which is hypersonic missiles, electronic, scrambling electronics.
Yes, and cheap technology.
Yeah, because if they can withstand American onslaught for 5 or 6 weeks, America's economy is going to start teetering because we can't afford. So all they need to do is, because we know that they will take a beating a little bit from those American bombers. That's it. So take us out of. I said a follow. Definitely not a follow. Could they take us out? Because I got to go to work. All right, go.
Okay, so it's been an interesting day of developments in the war. We learn more and more about Iran and America, and we see the arrogance of the Western governments playing out as they're fucking around and finding out that they're wrong and they're in trouble, and the war is not going for them, and that people are happy. So let's look at what happens in the foregoing days. And from myself and Mustafa, it's adieu, and we'll see you on the next one.
Adieu. I'll see you on the weekend. We'll talk about football. Maybe we'll do something with your sister about Liverpool on Sunday.
Yeah, nice one.
So enjoy your Friday.